Hey guys, I'm Naya and welcome back to the channel. So today I am joined by one of, if not the most prominent name in Yu-Gi-Oh! Streaming and content creation, Farfa. Welcome to the channel.
Hi, nice to be here.
So today basically I just want to talk to you about Yu-Gi-Oh! I just want to pick your brain a little bit and I want this to be an open discussion, so you guys feel free to chime in on everything we talk about in the comments down below. So starting things off, first I wanted to sort of talk about, like, obviously you're, like I said, really into streaming and that type of content creation. And you were pretty much the one that like made everything possible, I think, for a lot of other people, just being one of the first people that really did it. And I want to know, like, what inspired you to start that type of content creation? And also because your content is very known to be like entertainment focused and just funny and enjoyable all around, and it's different. Yeah, I want to sort of hear a bit more about that.
I started my Twitch channel sometime in like 2016 or something like that. I didn't go on to use it full time until a couple years later than that. But some people have credited me for making Twitch streaming for Yu-Gi-Oh! Specifically like a thing, quote unquote. I don't know. I don't think that's completely true. Personally,
Okay.
I actually remember watching Asian Eyes White Dragon and Mega Capital G were the OGs of Twitch streaming. If you were to ask me who the first big Yu-Gi-Oh! Twitch streamers were, and I say big because at the time they would maybe get like a couple hundred viewers live at the while streaming, and to me that was like astronomical numbers. That was like crazy. Like to have hundreds of people live watching you is crazy to me. So
It is.
alongside my YouTube channel, I decided to do some Twitch streaming and stuff along with it. And I took a lot of inspiration from other Twitch streamers, I guess, that were big at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Something like Soda Poppin. I think Asmongold was maybe starting Twitch streaming around then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just lots of inspiration from other content creators from other games. And I always kind of ask myself, like, okay, what is it about their streams that I like? What is it that I enjoy when they're live? And for me personally, I don't think educational sort of like deep diving, really in-depth Yu-Gi-Oh content is very good for live content. I don't think it's very exciting. I don't think people really want to watch it, at least not consistently on like a daily basis. And so I figured that that's not really the direction I wanted to take. And just memeing around and playing bad decks and doing stupid stuff on the old DB Deutschbahn app, as I like to call it. Some of my best highlights is judge calls like online and things like that. And that was just more entertaining and fun for people to watch than, trying to like seriously play Yu-Gi-Oh! So that's kind of just how I decided to push Twitch streaming a little bit more. And I guess ever since it's gotten bigger and bigger with, other big streamers coming into their own over the last couple of years, like Distant Coder, MBT. Nash, Joshua Schmidt, more recently Jesse. So a lot of people are doing it. But I guess I would be maybe the first person who did Twitch streaming full time as a like total self-sustaining thing in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
And my YouTube channel for the last couple of years has really just taken a backseat as no more than like a show reel and advertising feature for my Twitch, because I feel like my Twitch is what I prioritize and care about more than my YouTube right now.
Of course.
So that's sort of the whole story, I guess, from beginning to end.
I mean, it's like, like you said, even if you weren't the first person, you are probably the one that popularized it, right? Because like after you, like all of these people came that you talked about, and there's of course other smaller streamers, and I think it's great because from what I've seen, like Yu-Gi-Oh content like used to be a bit more like, it felt like it's in this shell, right? There's deck profiles and there's like ban list reactions and ban list predictions and then market watches. And I feel like as of late, like so many different things started to develop, like post-COVID and post-Master Duel. Especially, I feel like not only did the community by itself grow in terms of numbers and just people interested in the game, but people that pursue content creation as well. And I think, a lot of other content creators, of course, such as yourself, for example, have a lot to do with that, I'd say, when it comes to making content creation feel more accessible, I feel like. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really proud of where the Yu-Gi-Oh Twitch community has come. Even smaller streamers and stuff do cool, interesting work, and I'm just happy that more and more people are more interested in live content.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a different way to experience the game instead of just pre-recorded videos.
It is. It's most definitely different. It maybe feels a bit scary also, like if you're not used to it, because making a pre-recorded video just seems much easier, even if you maybe have to put in like a ton of research or editing or whatever. But yeah, like there's scary things about both of them, I'd say.
Yeah, it's definitely a different beast. Doing content creation live and doing it through video, like it's completely different ways of doing it, and it's not for everyone, So I guess is the main takeaway as well. So some people don't need to be disheartened that it didn't work out for them or something like that, because it is just it's different for everyone.
Has it always felt natural for you, or have you ever felt disheartened yourself, like doing it?
I don't know. I never really cared.
That's
you mean
fair.
disheartened in terms of like performance and stuff, or
No, just being like literally like nervous. Okay, I'm about to go live.
Oh,
Like I
okay.
need to like literally
No. I don't really think I don't think it has ever been. I don't know why, because like I'm not very confident and I'm not very like outgoing and extroverted. Like if I was to like walk around the street holding a camera, pointing at myself, talking, like the thought of that terrifies me. That's why I don't really do like a lot of IRL content, because the thought of just walking around the regional talking to myself and saying what my results are and what I'm doing, and like I can't do that. It terrifies me. I could never do that. But for some reason, if it's just behind the screen, like streaming it, like it just in my room, like by myself, I'm a whole other beast. Like it's like no one's watching me. That's how I feel.
Yeah, of course.
So,
like you feel more
I
comfortable.
don't know. It's strange.
So I mentioned Master Duel before. I think it's amazing what Master Duel has done, like I mentioned before, in terms of getting people into the game. But since I don't really play it, I really wanted to hear your thoughts on what you feel like Master Duel has brought the community and the game itself.
Yeah, so for me personally, I feel like I haven't really played the real life TCG game seriously in a long time. I like semi prepared for the European Championship, and that was basically it. And I guess for me personally, I don't know if it's just because the thought of holding physical cards and stuff just isn't really that appealing to me. So I much prefer like just being able to sit and just have all of my cards in a online digital form that I can just click and drag and build a deck, and there I go.
Yeah.
I don't like really like fiddling around with like card sleeves and putting everything together, and then I'm missing like this random common card that I don't own. I need to like go online and buy it.
But that's the thrill of searching for it.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying it's bad or anything. It's everyone's different. For me personally, yeah, for me personally, I don't really enjoy that much.
Yeah.
For if it was up to me, like generally for events and stuff, like all of my practicing and preparation, I just do like on like Master Duel or something like, or the card database. And then I know what I'm going to play. And then I have all the cards physically in front of me. Maintaining a collection and stuff like that isn't really for me. But, going back to the main point, what did the game do for the community and the people? I think it's completely blown up Yu-Gi-Oh! In a huge way. And it's really cool to see just random huge names that have tried the game, like Ludwig and Saikuno and Moist Critical and these huge YouTubers like putting a light on Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think that's massively good for the game and the health of the game and the advertising and growing the community. And it's really it can't be understated just how huge that is. Because it's simple, it's easy. You just go on a computer, you just have your computer and you just download the free game and you just play and you're good to go. Right. It's so much more accessible than like a physical card game.
Also from the standpoint of just teaching people how to play, like with the tutorials and all of that, like if you're getting into the game, I think it's much easier to start through Master Duel than like, well, here's another guest. What's the other guest's name?
Tantan is my cat.
Well, welcome, Tantan.
Named after the baby raccoon.
I don't know that reference.
Baby raccoon Tantan Pampoko.
I never watched it.
They're Yu-Gi-Oh cards. What do you mean? That's fair. We'll have to teach you Baby Raccoon sometime, I guess.
Yeah. Basically, yes. What I was thinking is about getting into the game. I think it's easier to do it through Master Duel. Like going through the tutorials and all of that is like, wow, that feels so accessible as opposed to going to locals and trying to figure it out. It's kind of, it feels a bit overwhelming if you're getting into it. If you never played from when you were little, which a lot of people didn't, and it's like,
yeah, that's the thing. It's very easy to access, and when you're learning the basics, like having prompts and buttons flash that tell you like what you can activate, what you legally can't activate, stuff like that. It's extremely helpful for someone new.
No, I think that's great, but I never really liked simulators like the Edo Pro and all of those ones. They scare me because they like don't give you enough time and then they prompt you a lot. So I cannot deal with those simulators. But like Master Duel, just because it's also visually much more appealing. There hasn't been a simulator like that. Dueling Book is extremely useful. However, it has its flaws and yeah.
Yeah, well, my priority is always like content creation, right? And I think just watching someone play Master Duel is just easier than watching someone play on like what is essentially a flash game. I think it's way past its prime in terms of content and stuff. So it's really hard to, I guess, appeal to newer audiences when you're playing on like something like DB, because it's just really hard to follow and it just doesn't look as good. So
yeah, exactly. So what about from the standpoint of just Master Duel being a different game in terms of sets and in terms of the ban list, Maxi, all of that? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I think it's one of the biggest flaws, unfortunately, is that a lot of people were really looking forward to and hoping that we could have a game that lines up alongside the TCG, so that we have ways to practice and ways to play with our cards, but online and at home and practicing and preparing for events. And Master Duel doesn't really offer that. Because the lack of the newer cards and the lack of specific erratas if you're trying to play old formats and all of those kind of problems. So I think it has a long way to go in terms of alternative formats, at least. Even if it doesn't want to catch up to what's the word? The current card pool,
right?
But at the same time, I guess I've sort of embraced it as a different game, rather than mourning the fact that unfortunately, it's sad. It doesn't do what I need it to in terms of TCG, which, obviously does suck. It's like, try to give feedback where possible and maybe it'll be something in the future. I don't know if they're slowly catching up with modern sets. I mean, we just got Sprite. So I don't know, like, are we kind of catching up? We'll see. But I think I've just sort of reserved it to, it's a different game. And, that's just the way it is. Like, it is just a different game altogether.
But that's kind of hard to accept, at least for me. I was really disappointed with the fact how different it is. So to me, that's what really threw me off, and that's why I didn't really get into it. I'm considering it because it does seem interesting, and after it's been out for literally a year now with the anniversary, I think they have worked on a lot of things to improve it, and it's only going to get better. However, that is something that I was just kind of freaked out by. Like, there's literally another game that you have to learn now when you're playing. And it also depends on what you want out of it. Like, if you're just doing it for fun, it's whatever. But if you're really trying to practice and get the testing in and all of that, it's, kind of weird having to like deal with stuff like Maxi and just, all of that and building the deck differently. Also, just thinking of different things, expecting other things. It sort of takes away from the practice and you having to think about many other things instead of that. So I don't know. That's sort of...
no, I understand that. I mean, for me personally, I play both. I enjoy both. There's a lot of people who do enjoy both. But what I have noticed is that the more dedicated, really competitive TCG players don't really play it, Master Duel. Some do, and maybe with like more prestigious tournaments and events coming up, like for example, the World Championship that was recently announced, maybe more people will try it then, but it has felt like it has been a sort of different kind of demographic that's playing the game.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And also the invitational that you went to, what was that experience like? That was, I guess, the the event, like in terms of bigger events, really presenting Master Duel in this entire world of, I guess, esports, you could say. Like, what are your, I guess, takes and thoughts when it comes to that?
Yeah, so I think it's going okay so far. There's the Challenger Cup, which is being held for all Europeans for free. And that's a way to get into the game and play it at a really higher competitive level with, rounds of Swiss and knockout stages like you would in the TCG. But, in terms of esports and stuff, it's hard to really like understand what that is, because I mean, it almost feels like a different industry. And I think like the biggest takeaway from that is like cash prizing is really the biggest barrier to entry for esports. And
yes,
you can't really say that Yu-Gi-Oh is ever going to be on the same level as League of Legends or Overwatch or something like that, right? It's just esport is how I think it was initially advertised, but we'll see what happens at the World Championship, I guess. I'm not sure. But I feel like that's probably what makes esports is the money.
Yeah,
and
I mean, I assume
there really kind of isn't money in Yu-Gi-Oh, so I'm not sure.
It's weird because like from the get-go, it was supposed to not be about money. Like according to, I guess, Takahashi and all of that, like it was never about money. So it just feels weird creating Master Duel and sort of pushing it into that direction, although it will be cool to see. But I think it's so interesting, just even if you're only on the sidelines just looking in, like we literally saw Master Duel like come out for the first time, and now it's only been a year. We're literally here just seeing it, I guess, develop. And like you said, with the World Championship, I think it's really interesting. I think it's great to be able to witness something like that, because there's a lot of important steps basically being made right now, in the game. And I think that's really nice. As much as there are some downsides, I guess.
Yeah, I hope it only grows and gets bigger and more attractive to potential orgs and stuff like that. So it's a sort of wait and see moment. I think this year is going to be pretty big for the game, at least like as a divergence point. So we'll just have to wait and see. I'm hoping for the best, of course. I don't think anyone wants it to fade away or fizzle out. So
no, of course, but I doubt it. I honestly doubt it. Like at first, some people were saying it might flop. You never know, but I don't think it's going to happen. Like honestly. Also, what's more fun for you? Do you like genuinely enjoy competitive TCG, or is Master Duel like more fun to play for you personally?
The thing is, I just prefer the convenience. Is the thing. Like if I want to play TCG, it's harder. Like you have to physically go to a store and then get cards and then sleeve up and then like sit down and then play. But if I just have an itch to play like Yu-Gi-Oh in general, I just open Master Duel and play. Like it's so much that I guess that's what I like, and maybe it's like a generational thing or something. Like we just love convenience and stuff like that. Everything's disposable, so that's just not really what I guess TCG is about. It is about valuing your collection and getting your cards, and every card means something and stuff like that. And it's just I don't really have the patience as much as I used to for that when Master Duel is a thing, because like I said, I can just log in and play whenever I want.
Yeah.
And I prefer that. But like when I do actually get to play TCG, it is to an extent more fun, because you have new cards and new exciting different decks and stuff that we get to innovate and create and stuff like that. Whereas Master Duel was kind of like a 6-month-old format without too many differences. So it's like, okay, if like at its best, I do prefer TCG, but getting to TCG's best is really hard, because it's not hard per se, but it's just the convenience factor. Like, it's just so much easier for me to just stream Master Duel. Like, how can I stream TCG? Like, how? Like, it's not feasible. Like, sit and remote duel people on a webcam, like this, it's not ideal,
Okay.
And we've went over all of the disadvantages with the simulators, so it's like Master Duel just makes the most sense. That's
fair. You said, how did you put it? Like, how to make TCG like at its best? How when TCG is at its best? When is TCG at its best, in your opinion? And I want to know that specifically because obviously we just got out of a tier 0 format and now we're going into a bit of a more diverse thing. So like you said, you're playing Master Duel, of course, but I'm assuming you are keeping up with the meta. And I know you made top 16 last year at the Nationals, which is a really good score. You know, that's like props to you for that. So what are your thoughts when it comes to those types of formats? What do you prefer to play? Like, did you genuinely enjoy the Tier 0 format?
No, I sort of pieced out completely from TCG.
Out. Okay.
After Shizu. I don't know. Yeah, like I just never. I don't really go to locals as much, and I kind of feel like I play the game very seasonally, and I think a lot of like more competitive people do as well, because preparing for an event and then putting the cards in the deck together that you want to play at that event, and then practicing that exact event's format, I think is what a lot of people do, rather than regularly attending locals. At least like the super competitive players. So. Yeah, I like Yu-Gi-Oh! I enjoy the game, and I usually play it no matter what. But because of Master Duel, like I said, like the convenience is just taken away. Like,
all right.
So I don't really get to play the TCG as much as I'd like to. I'm trying to get back into it for this format, but generally what I find is the formats that people like the most are the ones that have like maybe 2 or 3 decks.
Yes.
And the format that I topped in was very diverse.
Yes, it was.
You could play against a different deck every single round of like a 12-round event or something.
It was a pain. And like if you ask me, like, oh, it wasn't that great.
I think from a more casual perspective, that's a lot more enjoyable, because you can just kind of play whatever you want and you can have a decent chance of success.
Yes.
But I think like in preparation and getting ready for an event, it's quite hard, because your side deck is very limited to certain matchups, and there isn't really much, it feels like, much of an edge in deck building, because you're sort of coin flipping what your matchup is every round. And some matchups are really difficult for you, and some are your best, and maybe you get 4 of it in a row, maybe you don't play against any of it.
Yes.
So when there's like 10 viable decks in a format, I can understand the frustrations, and yeah, I can understand. But on the other hand, Tier 0 formats tend to be really... They're definitely the worst formats for casual players.
Yes.
Is what I'll say. Because I think generally casual players do prefer diversity more so than one deck formats. But then, of course, the argument then is like, okay, well, if you're playing casually, why do you even care if it's Tier 0, right? So... it doesn't really affect you.
I guess mean, getting into that, that's a whole another topic. Literally, like when people, it literally turns into like beefs on Twitter, over like casual competitive stuff, and it's just something I look at from afar. So, what would you attribute your success at UK Nationals to? Like, what did your preparation look like? What was your thought process going into the event?
I think I really deserved that achievement, because that was the one event that I definitely put in a lot of work on. I was streaming with quite less viewership than I normally do, because I guess it's just, like I said at the start, it's not really that fun and interesting to watch someone play like ultra high competitive, like focused TCG Yu-Gi-Oh! I prepared a lot for that, and I guess I sacrificed a lot of my quality of my stream for it. But regardless, I just put in a lot of effort and a lot of time, and to some extent I came away from it and I didn't feel it was really deserved or well accomplished. And I don't know if that's just a personal sort of insecurity of mine, that I, generally view my success generally quite negatively, but overall, I don't know if it was like the most, what's the word, exciting thing that's ever happened to me, because in the end it was more like relief rather than excitement. It's like relief, like, okay, thank God, like these literal like tens and tens of hours that I put in over the course of the last week have paid off. Because on the other hand, I can understand how much of a frustrating experience it is to enter a tournament and having practiced and played and tested so much and so hard just to get wrong matchups or get floodgated, and you just, nothing you could have done could have helped you and done better. So to get like a semi-premier event kind of.
Yeah.
Is national premier event top? I don't know. It's that's
It
a debate.
is.
But anyway,
It is.
getting a decently
I'd say.
high
Yeah.
prestigious top. Is it what was the real emotional outcome of it? It was just more like relief rather than excitement, because I felt like, oh god, it was more like, thank god it's over. Like, at least I have something to show for all of this work I put in. Do I want to do it again? I don't really think so. I really don't think so. It's like, people really overestimate how easy it is, I think, sometimes to top a YCS or big event. And yes, sometimes you can just play a floodgate deck or something and not really have to think too hard. But a really well-deserved top is, if you're playing the competitive game properly, is hard work. Like, it is hard work.
It is.
And I have a massive amount of respect for the people who top back to back and have consistent success at the highest level, because I know how much they test. I know how much they try and how much they practice. And I've tried it myself, and I don't have the discipline or patience to consistently do that event to event. So I have a huge respect for people who consistently top and do well. And you can see in the results, and you can see the names event after event, especially during the Tier 0 format, which was more of a skillful format.
Most definitely.
It's the same people like topping again and again. And it's because those people put in a lot of time and effort.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they're having the fruits of their labor pay off. But for me personally, like, I don't think I can regularly do that, even though ironically it's my full-time job. I could, if I wanted to, and still survive and be okay if I did put in all that time and effort to try hard the TCG. But Yu-Gi-Oh is such a complicated game. It is such a difficult game at the highest level.
It is.
And people really underestimate that, I think. To really understand, like, when you're playing at the highest level, the amount of reading you need to do. And I don't just mean reading your physical cards. I mean, like, there's a new tech card that comes out that says, oh, special a dark from deck. Well, good players literally will go and read every single dark monster in the database to try find a tech card for it. Like, that's what happened with Halka Fibrax. People went and read every single possible tuner in the game. It happened with Sprite. Good players, the top players, they went and read every single level 2 monster in Yu-Gi-Oh! Just to come up with the text and stuff like that. It's crazy, to stay ahead. And I have a huge respect for people who dedicate the time and effort to do something like that.
I do too. I think it's amazing. It's kind of hard for content creators to also be successful IRL, because that's something that's always been talked about, right? That's like, everyone says it, like, YouTubers are bad players. That was like a thing. But I love how a lot of competitive players are getting into the into content creation and just proving everyone wrong, because obviously, they're great players. So when they're pursuing content creation and achieving results in person, that's amazing. And I think it's great showing for everyone that maybe felt discouraged before, like, oh, I'm not that great and I'm still pursuing content creation. You can do both, but it is going to be insanely hard, I think.
Yeah, I think I should clarify. It's hard to make good content that's highly competitive, and I can over the last, like, however many years this game has existed, I can maybe say the only people who've successfully made exclusive high competitive content is maybe like Josh and Jesse recently. I don't know anyone who's like only focus is that, because as a content creator, you're still going to throw in a couple of fun things and like tier lists and random funny gameplay or like joke videos and stuff like that. But to just do only exclusively very serious content, I really think the number is drastically low.
It really is. The field of content creators that pursue competitive stuff, there's not a lot of people that do it and do it well.
It's a balance between making it entertaining and also educational and informative. And I think like the people I've mentioned, Jesse and Josh, I think are the only people who've really managed to hit that sweet spot.
So I want to sort of segue a bit to round things off. Since I saw you react to my video on stream, right, which was hilarious, by the way, and I'm very flattered by it. I wanted to sort of I wanted your takes on overall, like, being a content creator in this particular community? Because it's literally like what you hear is like, oh, I don't know, Zodiac Duelist is the worst group ever. People are horrible. And like being a content creator in a space where a community can be, not as a whole, but when people sometimes can be cringe, like, how do you feel?
I think online, just online culture, abuse, harassment, this kind of stuff, it's very easy to ignore. That I think sometimes people can forget. Like, obviously you can just get someone who like makes new accounts and permanently harasses you, like, but that I don't think is very common. But I think people really forget, like, it is so much easier to let go and ignore than people think it is. And I think that's one of the hardest things I came to terms with, was learning that I could just do that. I don't need to interact with every negative comment. I don't need to allow these kind of things to affect me by letting it into my mind and having it occupy space and thoughts. So doing this for like, 5 years or something now, that's probably the biggest thing I've learned was, there's a very obvious and clear line between feedback and just harassment. And I do pay attention to my comments, and I do try to like sort of read what's going on in the world and how the community is reacting to certain comments and certain content that I make and things like that. But I think it's important to really just try and differentiate when someone is giving you criticism and when someone is giving you like just abuse and being mean for no reason. I'm still struggling. It's still hard. It's still difficult.
Yeah.
And not it's easy to say don't let it affect you, but I have gotten better at it, and it's crazy what a block button can do. It's crazy what a ban button can do.
I mean, I believe, especially on stream, like it's probably like it's whatever when you're able to just get rid of negative people that way.
Yep. Just hit the ban button.
I don't know, like I guess with it's different for everyone. I think it really depends on the content that you're making, and sadly on the gender as well, although I would love it if that wasn't the case, but that's wishful thinking. I don't know, I guess with the video that I did, I was just trying to like low-key, it was just fun for me. It was just hilarious to do it, but it is of course there to shed light on what people can say and how that's really not important. Like for me, it's not exactly hard to deal with those types of things. I'm not struggling. I don't feel there are some comments that sort of, I guess, sting when you read them first, but then you're like, it doesn't really affect you. But it also depends on the kind of person you are. Maybe for some people it's a bit harder to, I guess, judge yourself and expect things from yourself when you're creating content, and not just the way the community views you. And again, it's just personal, I guess, issues you have with yourself, or the way you view stuff. Sometimes you're your own worst enemy, not the people in your comment section. So I guess that's important to think about as well. When you're putting yourself out there and creating content, you're going to be judging yourself as well. And I guess that's more important, that you're chill with yourself, not what people say. Yeah. So there's that as well. And I prepared one last question, which I'm very excited to ask. And it's, what kind of support would you want BA to have to be relevant?
It's funny. I was gonna do like a custom card thing for Burning Abyss for a friend series, and I've actually had time to think about this in the last few weeks, and I can't really nail it down. I'm trying to think. Like, I don't think a main deck monster is what the issue is. Like at this point, they just need like a new Dante. Like Milling 3 just isn't enough anymore. I don't know.
So what about Beatrice at 3? Is that a thing? Like, would that help?
A what?
A Beatrice at 3?
No, I don't think Beatrice at 3 really matters that much. Like, it really doesn't. It's at 3 in Master though, actually. The deck still sucks. It needs a whole new boss monster. It needs like a Burning Abyss double helix or something. Like a Burning Abyss Halka Rex. Like, I don't know. It's just not that good. It's crazy. Yeah, it would have to be like literally just retrain Dante to like mill like 5 for cost.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, make it to balance it so it isn't just played in everything, you can make it require 2 BA monsters. Needs to have like a quick effect or something, maybe like a pop or something, mill 3 pop cards, just Hydrolander and Dante in 1 card. I don't know. It would have to be something absurd. Like I've actually thought about this, and the more I've like thought about it and sat down to consider it needs so much to be relevant. It's disgusting. The deck is so old. It's just so fair by today's standards.
So did you play, you mentioned Hydrolander. Did you play that version with Sika's Light and Hydrolander and all of that?
Yep. I've played, I think, basically every version of Burning Abyss ever created.
Which one was your favorite?
Honestly, I would probably just say like the first version, like the really bad one. Like the one where it was just Grafseer Skarm, and then like Mathematician Tour Guide, and then like 20 discard traps and Torrential and stuff like that.
So that was your end board, like just a bunch of traps and just like a Beatrice or something, or a Dante?
Yeah, no, you didn't have Beatrice at the time.
Oh, there was no Beatrice. Okay. I'm unfamiliar with BA lore. I'm sorry.
You literally make like a Dante turn 1. Okay. And then maybe on turn 2 you like tribute summon a Ryza. Like, okay. Like that's how bad the deck was on release. Like that's kind of the stuff people came up with. That was the first deck that topped, or I think even won. The first Duelist Alliance event was by Jeff Jones with like an ARG back in the day. Yeah. And it was just garbage. It was just so bad. It was just 3 of every BA monster, like Ryza and some trap cards. That's it. That was the deck. It was fun because you grinded. It felt like old Yu-Gi-Oh with a new spin. I guess is why I really enjoyed it.
Wait, what year was that?
2014.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
That sounds like a vibe. Ago. That actually sounds like a vibe. Okay. I love that. Yeah. Wow, that was my last question. Is there any closing thoughts you maybe have? Like, I really enjoyed talking to you. I think we talked about a lot of important stuff. So that was really fun to do. And is there anything else you maybe would want to add?
I don't know, honestly. I think everything Yu-Gi-Oh related is in a decent spot right now. And the game is like healthy in multiple different fronts, in TCG, in Master Duel, in content creation. I think the game is like just great right now, and I don't have too many major complaints, honestly. I say that now, but we'll see what the meta looks like after YCS Vegas. So that'll have to be continued. But overall, like, yeah, I'm just high on life right now. Yu-Gi-Oh is great. Like I'm excited for everything. Like this is such a great time right now. I've been having so much fun on stream with the new festivals, all that kind of stuff. The Challenger Cup. We're almost coming up to national season soon. Like this is the best time of year for Yu-Gi-Oh. I feel is the early part of like the year.
Wow, that was really cool ending for this video. A very hyped ending. I enjoy it as well. Like, to be honest with you, I enjoy it a lot. However, I would probably rather go back to the old format, not the Kashtira one. But you can't have everything.
Have it all.
Yeah. Say bye to Tantan for me as well. And I really enjoyed having you. So you're always welcome back to the channel if you would ever want to make a return. And you guys, please let us know in the comments what you thought of this discussion. This just, I guess, chill type of video, just discussing Yu-Gi-Oh! And I will put all of our socials in the description box down below. And if you guys like the video, please like it, sub, check out all the social media, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Peace.